What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Red and Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and tonight I'm joined by Matt Llewellyn and our guy, Mike Andrews of Nothing But Niners. We got a hell of a show planned. This is kind of an emergency show, obviously, with all of the Deebo Samuel news. Matt, I'm going to start with you. Requesting a trade, what's going on here? How did you initially react when this report dropped this morning from Jeff Darlington?
Well, I was on my way to a baseball game today. Shout outs to the Padres. They won 6-0. But yeah, it was a straight blow up. I wasn't expecting to, we'd heard some rumblings, right? But it was from, all right, who's this source? I don't know who this is. But then Jeff Darlington picked it up. Ian Rappaport picked it up. Adam Schefter picked it up. At that point, you're like, all right, there's definitely something here. We saw the Instagram comment or like or post or whatever it was from Deebo's brother that was like, oh, my brother asked for a trade. We didn't know what to make of it. And then it comes out. First of all, I just want to say, I want to caution everybody. If you're my age, probably Mike's age, not Zach's age, he's a young gun, but if you're our age, you know that when you're 25 years old, you don't necessarily handle a situation in the best way right off the jump. You know what I mean? Mistakes will be made. Things get out that you don't want to get out, whatever. My thing is, I'll just say this right off the bat that I've always said. I'm about the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back. If Deebo doesn't want to get here, he can go. You can be gone. What I really think this is, though, is that he's trying to leverage himself into a higher salary. I think the 49ers have offered him something that he doesn't like. And he's trying to get real with them and say, look, if you don't give me what I want and you don't change the way that I'm being used, then I want to get out of here. And from a certain aspect, I get it. I'm all about players getting their money. I'm all about them trying to maximize their value. But at the end of the day, if you don't want to be on the 49ers, then I couldn't care less. You can go. Because, I mean, the 49ers traded Joe Montana, right? Like, the 49ers don't give a shit. You know, if you don't want to be here, they'll get rid of you. And I'd rather them, if they're going to trade him, do it before the draft. And preferably package Jimmy Garoppolo's bum ass with him, too. So, get them both out of here. No, but honestly, it's one of those things where a player's trying to get his money. He's overvaluing his leverage, which we can go into later because I don't think Deebo has any leverage whatsoever, despite some people saying he does. He has none. He's trying to get his. He saw what Kyler Murray did, and he was like, that kind of seems like a good idea. We're in the TikTok generation. We're in the generation where people like, this is the whatever challenge. In the NFL, it seems like it's the scrub my social media of all my team stuff challenge to try to get my money. And that's fine. You can go about it that way. But if the 49ers really wanted to be petty, they could ruin his shit real quick. So I'm for Deebo getting what he wants, but I think a lot of this is him chirping, trying to let the 49ers know, hey, what you're offering me is not good, right? And instead of directly and maturely handling it with the team, maybe he's taking it in a way that is good for him, but is not necessarily the most business-like way to go about it. Not the way that some other people go about it. Particularly, and this has nothing to do, I just want to say this right off the bat. We're talking about people. We're not talking about anything else other than that. But when you see Cooper Kupp coming out and say, like, I don't give a shit if I'm the highest paid receiver or not, I want to win. Right? That's a certain way to go about it. Deebo's going about it in a different way. I'm not saying one's right, one's wrong, but in the eyes of some people, they might flock to one or the other. In terms of professionality, I think that you would kind of need to lean towards the Cooper Kupp way of doing things, but I'm not saying that Deebo's wrong in what he's doing. It's just different. And this becomes an issue as we get closer to the draft. What are the 49ers going to do? Do they now have a hole at wide receiver that they got to fill? So there's a lot of moving parts here, and it's really interesting. Mike, what are your take on this?
Man, it's a lot going on. Now, the thing is, we kind of briefly discussed this on Sunday, I believe it was, right, Zach?
Mm-hmm.
So, the official request for a trade, he tried to even walk that back, which was something else that we discussed, the walkbacks, right? Yeah. But, Matt, you said something that I found super interesting. It's like he saw Kyler Murray do it and said, hey, let me try this. That blew up the same reaction that the 49er fans are having right now is what the reaction of the Cardinals fans was at that time. And Niner fans we're laughing at him. So if you're going to use social media as a weapon, you should at least have a pulse on how the fan base that you're trying to appeal to is going to respond to what you're doing. We clown Kyler Murray. We clown him for what he did. And then you turn around and you want to sit here and say, hey, you know what? Let me try that same thing. It's nuts. And then I will say this. I'm not sure who's running Deebo's account. I don't know if you guys have pictures of the tweets or everything like that, but in his defense, he said something about
I don't think it's him.
Yeah, he said reporters are jobs is to make up stories. The only people who know the truth are at Tony, whatever, and Deebo Samuel. Why would he refer to himself as Deebo Samuel in a tweet that he's posting? But I'll tell you what, if someone else is running your stuff, tell them to stop liking you in the freaking Dallas Cowboys jerseys. Like, you could have done it for multiple teams. It already pissed people off when you like the Dolphins one, right? But that's an AFC team. Haha, kind of fun, kind of cute. Mike McDaniel's over there. We can find you an excuse. When you like a picture with CeeDee Lamb and you edit it into it in a Cowboys jersey, there's two teams that the 49er fan base hate the most. And it's the Cowboys and the Seahawks right now. You can't do that. You can't, like, it's socially irresponsible. I don't even know if that's a real term, but if you're doing it on social media, that's why I'm saying
I like it.
It's socially irresponsible. How can you sit there and say, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna like me."
I'll tell you this too. If you really want to end up with Dallas with Dak Prescott and a shitty defense, like, I'll pack your bags for you, bro, because that ain't gonna get you anywhere. The Cowboys have been irrelevant for the last 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the thing about all this too, Mike, going back to him liking that post, what bugs me is you can't tell me fans have been flooding his mentions with jersey swaps with X team, and the one that he happened to see and like was him in a Cowboys jersey. It's like, come on, you knew the reaction that was going to get from 49ers fans.
Real quick, Zach, I hate to bust you in. I feel like this needs to be said too, just because we're like a show that keeps it real or whatever. Like, if you're the type of person though, because I know he came out and said it, if you're the type of person that's sending death threats or like racist shit, you're a piece of shit. Like, fuck off with that. Like, that goes beyond whatever. Listen, it's a football game, right? Players change teams. It is what it is. You love your team, whatever. Don't be a scumbag. Don't be a scumbag. Straight up, off rip. That doesn't even need to be said after this. Like, we want to get that out of the way right off the bat. If you're doing that, you're garbage and you don't belong in this fan base.
Yeah, 100%.
Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah. That aside, he understands how that would settle with the fan base, how that would kind of rile everyone up. And that was the one jersey swap he liked. I just thought that was a little intentional. Also, he liked the two reports that he was requesting a trade. And then he comes out, like Mike said, reporters, their job is to make stories, only me. And he named his agent, and the 49ers know the truth. Well, you were the source, Deebo. So if three people know the truth and one of those three people tells the reporter, logically speaking, that reporter now knows the truth as well. So I really just don't understand how he's trying to say that the reporter was off base or didn't know what they were talking about when he's the source for the reporter.
Devil's advocate, I could see how Jeff Darlington, if Deebo was like, hey, man, the 49ers made me an offer, I don't like it, and I told them, if you're going to use me in the way that I'm going to get hit a bunch and you're not going to pay me for that, then I don't want to be here. I could see how a reporter would spin that into Deebo requested a trade. Just to be fair, just to play devil's advocate, just to be like transparent with what Deebo could be thinking. I do think that is definitely a possibility because reporters have done way worse than that.
Which is fair, 100%. Go ahead, Mike.
This comment that you just clicked on.
This one?
Deebo pulling an Aaron Rodgers. No. The one that you just clicked. Deebo pulling an Aaron Rodgers. Deebo doesn't have the equity that Aaron Rodgers has. Aaron Rodgers has that entire state by the balls because they don't have anything else to cheer for. You can't pull that in San Francisco, specifically California. If we're talking state to state, right? You can't do that. You don't have multiple MVPs. You don't have a Super Bowl MVP. Like, you can't do that, bro. You're not Aaron Rodgers. So it doesn't make any sense. Someone needs to advise him different. And I love the way the Niners have stepped back and made it very clear. They called up Adam Schefter. Hey, do me a favor. Tweet this out real quick. Let people know that we were willing to make him an offer, that we've tried making him offers. Let people know that we would sign him today if he wanted to. He doesn't want to. He's the one being difficult. And Schefter gets right to it and posts it right away. The Niners are saying, all right, you wanted this war? Here you go. have at it in front of everybody like you've been doing the entire time. It's not going to bode well for the fan base. I can't tell you how many people I have seen say trade him, or people who say, damn, I just bought this stupid t-shirt for Deebo. Like, people are regretting buying merch with you on it. You went from the darling 8 weeks ago. 8 weeks ago, you were the man. He gave it his all. You know, it's a shame that we couldn't score more points. Like, Deebo's the man. You've been the hero of this franchise on offense for 3 years, and you just threw it all away in 8 weeks. It's incredible. I've never seen a slide so quick before in my entire life. It's nuts.
And the difference is when you look at people getting paid, I mean, the 49ers are willing to pay people. George Kittle got paid, Fred Warner got paid. But guess what? You never heard a peep out of George Kittle. You never heard a peep out of Fred Warner. They went about their business. They worked with it behind the scenes. They didn't get loose on social media. And that's one of the downsides to social media is it's so easy to just step on your own dick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just – I hate to use that term, but it's like – you know, it's one of those things where it's just like you're in your own way. If you just stay off social media and you work with the team wants to sign you. Okay, so the offer that they gave you isn't what you want. This is called a negotiation. The first thing that they give you is not the only thing they're going to give you.
Bingo.
Work with your agent, come back to the team, start hashing stuff out, and you can work on that. You know what I mean? Like, who's to say if he's worried about his usage as like this gadget wide back player? Who's to say that if Trey Lance is a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo, that they don't have to use him as a gadget so much? You know, part of me thinks that he wants to get his value now because if he sees that Trey Lance is a good player and Trey Lance can spray it around, then maybe the underneath stuff isn't quite as important as it was to Deebo Samuel, and maybe Brandon Ayuk, who is faster and a better route runner, becomes more involved in the offense. And so he's thinking down the line, like, if I don't get mine now, then I might become a little less valuable to this team, and that can affect me in the future. There's a lot of moving parts to this. I don't want to say one way or another, but I respect him trying to go and get his money, but this really needed to stay in-house. This regime, since Jim Harbaugh and Trent Baalke left, they don't leak, right? Everything is behind the scenes. And now the 49ers aren't leaking. They put out specifically, like Mike said, hey, let the world know. We'll sign him today if he wants to sign, but he just won't engage with us. Now you're making Deebo look petulant. Now you're making Deebo look immature. And now the fan base is like, well, if he doesn't want to be here, get gone. And that's how I feel. It's like, if you don't want to be here, I don't want a malcontent, right? Like you can, you know, OBJ, he left, you know, whoever they left, it is what it is, right? Like the team will be they'll be less talented because he's gone, but they'll be okay in the long run, you know. Absolutely. But it's one of those things. Just work with the team.
Yep, absolutely. Mike, and the thing about the wide back or him not wanting to play running back also, I even think that that's part of the negotiation, because if you consider yourself a running back, this is what we saw 7, 8, it might have been 12 years ago, maybe. Was it that long? Jimmy Graham and the Saints. I line up wide way more than I line up tight as a tight end, because they see the difference, the mass amount of money that the average is for a wide receiver versus a running back, a wide receiver versus a tight end. So I'm not mad at those guys for saying, hey, this is how you use me, but I'm really a wide receiver in Deebo's case. This is how you use me. I'm as a wide receiver, not a tight end. So I'm not mad at them for trying to separate how they're used when it's time to negotiate, but don't sit here and say you don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a video of you out there saying, hey, as long as I can get the ball in my hands, that's all I care about. I don't care how they do it. You said that at the Pro Bowl with everybody watching. Those were your words. No one forced you to say that. You said it so hard and you were so happy to say it. Both your dimples were showing with your big ass smile. You showed all 32. You know what I'm saying? All your teeth were showing. You were smiling so hard. As long as I get the ball in my hands, I like it. Now all of a sudden, I don't like being used that way.
Yeah. Not to mention, by the way, I didn't come up with wide back. Who came up with wide back? Deebo Samuel came up with wide back. Yep. He was the one that coined the position. He's the one that's hanging his hat on that for his value. But then he's like, I don't want to do the thing that actually boosted my value. I want to just be a wide receiver. Well, if you just want to be a wide receiver, I'm sorry, but you're not a particularly great route runner. You work a lot underneath. You don't go deep. Like, part of the thing was we can get you in space and you can do some stuff. But if you're not doing the gadget stuff, that actually hurts your value.
So
you know what I mean? Like
my whole take on this too is that
there you go. Joey's got it right.
Yeah,
He
he
says,
sells shirts
Deebo
on his
selling
website.
wide back shirts, but not wanting to be that anymore is hilarious. It's talking out of both sides of your mouth, right?
Yeah.
Pay me my money for the stuff that I did, but not the stuff that I'm not going to do anymore, right? And by the way, the stuff that I only did for one season, I doubled my production in my previous 2 seasons in one, and now I want to get paid like I'm a top 5 wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it is. I mean, again,
as a
I
receiver,
respect the hustle, but I don't respect the way that he's going about the hustle.
And as a receiver, you lead the team and league in drops. So I mean, come on, bro. Like, don't you? This is getting,
and not even like hard drops too, right? Like some pretty easy drops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So my whole take in this is, like Matt said, you want to factor in the fact that you do play essentially 2 positions into your contract negotiations moving forward, but then you're basically saying, but I don't want to do that anymore. That cuts your value at least by 15 to 20% right away. Because if you're telling me you don't want to be used the way we primarily used you the second half of the season and going into the playoffs, which made us extremely dangerous as an offense, that's how we got most of our work done. Why are we paying you as if we are going to continue using that? And also all of these teams that would be willing to throw however many picks and then on top of that sign Deebo at how much money he wants, they're also thinking we're going to be able to use Deebo the way he was just used this season. Prior to this year, you can't tell me there would be more than 2 to 3 teams out there chomping at the bit to acquire Deebo Samuel. Don't get me wrong, he was a great player, but he was kind of thought of as a gadget type receiver who has not taken that step to be a wide receiver 1. And then he has this breakout year, just like Matt said. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I want to get paid as if I've been doing it this whole time. That's the difference to me between Deebo Samuel and AJ Brown and even Terry McLaurin.
By the way, it goes beyond just the gadget stuff. It speaks to, not only does he not want to do what he had done before, but he's being kind of, I hate to use this term, but he's being kind of a diva about it, right? Like, we all know the quote earlier in the season when he was like, hey, if Trey wants to work with me, he can come to me. That's not what BA's doing. And in my opinion, I've always felt BA is faster. He's the better route runner. I think that Deebo's reading the writing on the wall and says, if Jimmy's not here, then maybe BA gets more shine. Maybe George Kittle is going to get more shine because, you know, the tight end is the young quarterback's best friend in terms of safety valve. But beyond that, maybe it's going to be Brandon Ayuk who can get open, this and this and that. You know, for me, it's one of those things where he's over, like he's just playing this the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know,
and then you have this thing. He's saying he doesn't want to run anymore, right? Or whatever. 20% of your production, total scrimmage yards, came from that part that you saying you don't want to do. Cool. That's just 20%. You still would have had 1,300 yards, right? But then you had 60% of your touchdowns come that way. You had 8 rushing touchdowns, only 6 receiving. So
he only has 10 receiving touchdowns in 3 years.
Come on, that's my point. And he had 8 in 1 year when Kyle decides to put the ball in your hands as running back. You should be thanking Kyle and saying, "Hey, let's make this thing work."
Right. And as much as I hate to give props to an in-division foe, the fact that Cooper Kupp comes out and goes, "I don't care if I'm the top paid receiver, I just want to win," that cuts Deebo out at the knees. Because I hate, like, as much as it's going to hurt 49ers fans, as a wide receiver, Cooper Kupp is better than Deebo Samuel. I hate to say it, but he is.
It's
like
true.
he had 1,000-yard season with Jared Goff as his quarterback, bro. Like, come on now.
Yeah. And then the other thing with that is the reason why Kupp can say a statement like that comfortably is because he knows, like the 49ers, the Rams pay their top guys. The Niners pay their top guys. You are the top offensive weapon. You don't have to do this. This team has not shorted. This regime has not shorted anybody when it comes to getting paid. Anybody.
Yep.
You had an undrafted guy in Bourne, and Kendrick Bourne. They gave him millions. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. He was a wide receiver 4 and made millions with this team.
Yeah.
Those
The
are
only
ones-
arguable guy would be DeForest Buckner, but Buckner wanted like Aaron Donald money. And as good as Buckner was, he's not Aaron Donald. Like, let's just get that off rip. You know what I
But
mean?
even with that, the Niners said, "Hey, for this salary, we can secure 2 other guys." It wasn't
Right.
about not wanting to pay him. They flat out said this was the worst and hardest thing we've had to do since we've been here. We wanted to keep Buck. He's a leader on and off the field. Like they said, everything that they wanted to. But for the money that he was going to get, we secured 2 other guys. And
for as much as they hammer on Javon Kinlaw, if he comes back this year and balls out, nobody's going to be mad about it, right? You got Javon Kinlaw and BA for what you would have paid for DeForest Buckner. Zach, put up Steve's comment.
Yeah, I was just going to get to this.
Is it possible that Deebo watched Lance practice last year and think he's just not a good QB and wants out? I actually think it's the opposite. I think that if you're a guy like Deebo that works primarily underneath, a bad quarterback is actually going to look for you more than if a quarterback can spray the ball around the field and go downfield, because downfield is not what Deebo does the best, right? There are better wide receivers on the 49ers, particularly BA, that can go down the field. Not to mention that Deebo, who caught that piss missile against Houston? Who caught that? Deebo Samuel did. He knows that Trey Lance can throw the ball. He knows that Lance can get him the ball when he wants to. That's not the issue. The issue is that if Trey Lance can run an offense the way that Kyle really wants to run an offense, then they don't have to do all the bullshit motion and stick Deebo in the backfield and do all this stuff to get him the ball, because Lance is going to be able to spray it around the yard any which way, and that makes Deebo less valuable, not more valuable. A bad quarterback makes Deebo Samuel, who works underneath, more valuable in the offense.
Mike, we were just talking about this on Sunday and how Deebo Samuel likely had the best year he'll ever have, statistically speaking, overall rushing, receiving. And then he wants to kind of base his contract off of that, but then also say moving forward, he doesn't want to be used as much. And I've seen people tweet this out. He might be the first player who says, I want to be used less. I want to have less touches. It's very weird to see how this has kind of turned into. But my question for you is, the reports coming out, Mike, are that he's not even willing to negotiate, that he's been kind of not responding to the 49ers. The 49ers have been willing to at least have the conversation and send out negotiation amounts, and he's been unresponsive. Does that concern you the most?
It does. And for, one, the Niners probably told him, hey, we're going to extend you, but it's not going to be right now. And so this is because that's not how the Niners operate. The extensions usually come in August or so, right? And so if that's the case, Deebo's thinking, well, damn, because if they get if they get the right wide receiver in the draft, they might not want to give me as much money. Now they have more options. So Deebo's in a tough spot, right? And so you have to separate the team's perspective versus his perspective. The draft is coming up. This is a very, very deep class for wide receivers. You have a quarterback now who's coming in who loves, like Matt said, to throw it all around the yard, left, right, center, deep, shallow, and everything in between, right? You have this guy coming in here, and if the Niners can get the correct wide receiver in the draft, then Deebo's going to be like, damn, man, like they really might not need me. That's leverage. That's more leverage for the 49ers. So what he needs to do, from his perspective, from the player's perspective, is kick up enough dust right now to get the contract before the draft. So I understand the logic in everything that he's doing. But what you can't do is piss off the fan base. That's been the bottom line. You can't do that. The Niners know you're negotiating. They're making offers and you don't want to pick up the phone. They're sending your agent numbers and he's saying, hey, if it's not the numbers we said, then don't even call me. If it's not 25 million, we don't want to hear it. Those are his words through someone else. Hey, we already requested a trade. His words through somebody else, to somebody else's. His brother and the was it Palacero, whoever it was that posted the tweet today. So he's hurting himself so much, but I understand why you make the biggest deal or make the most noise right now.
Okay, I understand.
I completely agree with that, by the way.
Go ahead.
I think that he's definitely doing like what Mike's saying. He's trying to get his value out before the draft. Because what happens if the 49ers turn around and pull a Miami or pull a Cincinnati and they go, you know what? We're sitting here at the top of the second or in the second or whatever. Man, Christian Watkins is on the board. It really worked for Jamar Chase. It really worked for I'm forgetting the Miami wide receiver. I feel so bad about Jalen Waddle. It worked for Waddle and Tua. Like, why don't we get Christian Watkins, who's familiar with Trey Lance? Like, we're working with that anyway. And now all of a sudden you have BA on the left side or whatever, outside. You have Watkins on the outside. And it's like, oh, guess what, Deebo? You work well underneath. You're a slot receiver now. Slot receivers don't get paid like that. I get it. I think that he is overestimating what kind of leverage he has. I don't think the team is a petty team. They definitely, I don't think they do players like that. But if they wanted to, you draft Christian Watkins anyway. Deebo's under contract. If they don't want to trade him, they'll go, we're not trading you. Right? Deebo holds out of training camp. Day one of training camp, they go, oh, Deebo's holding out. Guess what? Now you're restricted free agent for 2022. Yep. Beyond that, now we're going to franchise you. You'll get a little bit of money, but we're going to tank your value.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to use you as much. And when you hit the open market, you're not going to get nothing. And guess what we get? We get a comp pick for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not even worried about it.
But
real
quick, it's Watson. Because I don't want us to draft Christian Watkins. It's Watson. Like
Watson?
Yeah.
That's my bad. That's my bad.
It's all good. I just, I said the white receiver. You said Watkins. It's okay. We're
Watson.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right.
It's because Sammy Watkins is on my mind because he went to Green Bay.
Yeah, no, it's hey, look, I know what's happening, man. It's the happy juice. I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
There are no laws when you're drinking the claws.
Protein shake. So yeah, Hunk Fat. How about the video of Deebo on Instagram Live saying the agent told him the Niners won't go above 20 mil per year? Did you guys see this video? I think it was shared in the chat earlier, Matt. I don't know if you got a chance.
Sure. I mean, I guess, but like, for a wide receiver, I don't think you should.
I agree, 100%.
I mean, listen, the market sets what the market sets, but like, you can't just independently go, oh, Deebo, you had a great season. Now we're going to make you the highest paid non-quarterback ever, like Deebo Samuel is apparently asking for. I don't think that's good business.
But you guys got to understand what's happening, right? Deebo comes out and says, I want the highest paid non-quarterback money ever. Niners say, we're not going to go above 20. That's negotiations. That's where we are.
Right. Like I said earlier, it's a negotiation. The first offer is not the only offer.
So you can't throw a hissy fit. If they told you 20 million is the first thing you heard, you got to know you're going to get more than that.
By the way, that last comment Zach put up from Mark Cisneros is a poignant comment. Jacksonville fucked the market up by signing Christian Kirk to that deal.
That was Trent Baalke giving another to the Niners. That's exactly what that was. Baalke
ACL the Niners.
Yep, he sure did, and he knew exactly. A guy who never got 1,000-yard season got that money. It's wild, insane.
What was it, like 4 for 72 for Kirk?
Much. Too much.
That's facts.
Mike, your point about negotiation, I totally agree because it does seem like 4 for 72, that's Christian Kirk. It does seem like the 49ers said, here's our first offer, and Deebo Samuel said, nope, block the number, and then now is like, I'm not taking a call from them, and I want to trade. And the Niners are like, yo, this is how this works. Like, we go kind of back and forth on this. And I know it's not Deebo directly, it's his agent, but it is weird, and you can't tell me it's a coincidence that the same agent that manages Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, and Terry McLaurin, all 3 receivers entering contract years, all 3 receivers in the same position. The other 2 have yet to request trades, but it's looking like they're kind of pulling the same card. I mean, A.J. Brown took the shit out of his Twitter, just like Deebo did on his Instagram. Looks like they're going down the same path. You can't tell me this is not at the direction of the agent.
Yeah, and
by the way, can I just say, it's no wonder, but Deebo Samuel, out of those 3 wide receivers, has the worst statistical background. McLaurin has better stats. AJ Brown definitely has better stats.
Yep.
McLaurin's a 2-time 1,000-yard receiver, and his rookie season he had 919. Like Deebo had a 380-yard season the year before this one. and had 802 his rookie year. So like he blew up this season, but the other two have been consistently just on top of it from day one.
Yeah. And whether it be from, on-field production or injuries, it still counts. That's what you did in those seasons. You can't ignore the injury part. That's
right.
Something that's
exactly. And I'm sorry, like I'm not going to say dude's name, but we all know who he is. But to insinuate that the 49ers or the fan base doesn't want to pay Deebo because of his injury history, because he's black, and they don't want to, and they will pay Nick Bosa because he's white, that's some bullshit, dude. Like,
no,
that's crazy. That's crazy. Deebo Samuel's been injured since South Carolina. We all know that. Nick Bosa got injured at Ohio State. We both know that. But you can't tell me that edge rusher is a less premium position than wide receiver. When we saw what happened when Odell Beckham got injured in Cleveland and the team got better when he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's different. Minus the fact that also, why are we talking about Deebo? Because Deebo was a second-round pick. He doesn't have a fifth-year option. Nick has a fifth-year option. We can option his ass and push and kick the can down the road. Like, that's not even an issue. So, like, I get that there's like a lot of bullshit out in the world and people judge people for things that they can't control, characteristics, like you're born with your skin tone. Like, listen, there's definitely racism out there. I don't think this is the one.
100%.
So anyone, trying to insinuate that, that's just low hanging fruit. They're not doing their due diligence.
Real quick, Ab's correct. It's DK. The agent does not manage Terry as well. It's DK that he manages.
Right.
I mean, DK has better stats than Deebo too. That's not even close.
Does he?
He does.
Does he? I didn't know that. All right. But to Zach's other point, right? Zach asked about, is the agent advising these guys, right? The agent also represented somebody else who got the biggest contract for a corner. And that's Denzel Ward, right? Did you see Denzel Ward doing all this bullshit that he's doing now?
Nope.
So why, if this is the word of the agent, and I do believe that this is public negotiations, right? I do believe that the agent has a lot to do with this. But if that's the case, why would the agent take one story and successfully say, hey, look what I just did for this guy. Let's do the exact opposite for all three of these positions here. When you know that wide receivers are looked at as divas the moment they start kicking up. That is the most sensitive position in the NFL. It's not my opinion. This is like common knowledge that people call wide receivers divas. You can't say, let me do this for this guy and then have these other guys do this. You know what I'm saying? So, like, Deebo should be like, hey, yo, my man, like, I hear you. I understand you wanted me to do this. One, it's not working in my favor. Put some 49er shit back in my profile, please, somewhere, anywhere. Look at what it did for Denzel. If Deebo were to come out tomorrow and say, I want to be a Niner, but for the right price, everybody would forgive everything. If he did that tomorrow, everybody would forgive everything. I've been going about this the wrong way, but we are in negotiations. I was doing what I needed to do. We'll see how it ends up. He could still get traded. He could get the extension, whatever, but the fans won't regret buying your shirt that says wide back.
Right. You hit it on the head. Like, everybody makes mistakes. Maybe he didn't go about this the right way, but all he has to do is go, you know what? I was just trying something to get mine, but I want to be here. I love this team. I love this fan base, whatever, this and this and that. There are professional ways to go about this, and you're spot on with the Denzel Ward extension. It's one of those things where it's like, I didn't know Denzel Ward was about to get extended for that money. And then you hear, oh shit, 5,105. Okay. But the fact that Deebo's going about it the way that he's going about it, I feel like actually hurts his value rather than helps his value. It doesn't help him to be in a situation where he's like, making all this noise and wants to get signed for all this money when the notion is already out there that wide receivers are divas. And you're looking at it from a perspective of, well, here's another guy that's, completely dependent on a quarterback, by the way, to get the ball and be effective. But he's going to say, oh, well, I'm the most important. I need to get mine beyond whatever. I'm not thinking about the team. As we said earlier, George Kittle didn't make noise. Fred Warner never said a peep, right? They went about their
business. Armstead got paid. There's other guys. Eric Armstead is top 5 in his position, right? Trent Williams, number 1 at his position as far as salary, right? They went out and did it for Kyle Juszczyk, number one at his position. Like the team plays players, they pay these guys. We cannot say that this is a cheap organization. We are not. I'm willing to bet that the 49ers have more top 5 paid players on their team than any other team in the entire NFL. I'm willing to bet that with anybody without looking any of those numbers up.
I mean, I'll say it right now. Anybody that tries to say the 49ers are cheap, just see Jerick McKinnon's contract and what his production was.
Come on, man. When they want you, bro. And they refuse to.
Cargo Plane made a bunch of money off this team. You know what I mean? Like Kyle Juszczyk, that dude averages like 2 touches a game, and he's been the highest paid fullback for like 5 years now.
Exactly.
Because the 49ers are just like, all right, fine. We'll yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
The money's the money, right? We all know Kansas City, the Rams, like they've proven the salary cap is a myth. It doesn't exist. If you want to sign people, you will find a way to sign people. That's just how it goes.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with everything.
And by the way, for the people that are like trading Deebo would be the end of the world, y'all need to realize Kansas City is still going to be good next year. It doesn't matter that Tyreek Hill is not on that team. Because guess what? They drafted a dude that might not be Tyreek Hill, but that is still pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Like they
better look at the free agents that they got over there. Also, by the way, they picked up some good free agents in wide receiver position as well. Listen, it is much easier to replace a wide receiver than it is to replace probably any other position on the field other than running back.
Right, because listen, and more than any other position, the wide receiver position is completely dependent on the quarterback.
Not just the quarterback. That is the one position on the field that is completely dependent on the other 10 guys out there at the same time. Because if everyone else runs the wrong route, you got a cluster in the middle of the field or where you are.
Absolutely.
Everything to go their way for them to be successful. Running backs don't necessarily. You get what I'm saying? The other thing that I wanted to say really quick, I have hold on, where'd it go? Oh, I said the thing about Denzel Ward. I don't know if Zach heard that already. It should be following in that. But when you look at what Deebo was doing, like I said, I can understand why it's all happening. But he has to do something like some self-reflecting, and he needs to be honest with himself. And I'm not saying he needs to post it. You can do this behind the scenes even, because this is what the Niners do for people. They care about the players. I don't care what anybody says. They tried with my man Reuben Foster. Behind the scenes, they were working. They hired people to stick with him and keep this guy out of trouble, please. They did anything they could before letting him go, right? You look at all the situations. Look at what they did for Navarro Bowman, right? When they drafted Foster, Bowman's like, I'm not teaching this guy shit. That's not what I'm here for. You know, look at my resume. I'm me. He banged his chest. Okay, Niners said, well, fine. You want out? We'll find someone to trade you with, right? They get a trade offer that they want to accept with the New Orleans Saints. And you know what he said? Hey, I don't want to go to that team. He was under contract. The Niners owed him nothing. You know what they did? They ripped up the trade offer and said, hey, you want to be let go? We'll let you go. They care about
Aldon Smith.
Players.
How many chances did Aldon Smith get with this team?
Come on, man. They care about their players, bro. And so for him to sit here and act like that we are somehow offending him, well, I'm saying we, to act like the Niners are offending him, it's wrong. And you're not going to convince anybody. You're not going to convince any logical person about that. No one.
I mean, listen, just look at what they're doing with Jimmy Garoppolo. They could have dumped his ass anywhere they wanted to after the new league year, when his no trade clause expired. They could have put him anywhere. They could have got anything. But they said specifically, we want to work with Jimmy to set him up for success. Like, that's what they do. And that's why I love this team. That's why I'm such a fan of this team, is no matter what, they try to do the best that they can. Do they always do it the right way? No, but nobody does, right? Like, this is business. This is sports. There's mistakes made every day, right? It is what it is. But the one thing that you can't say is that the 49ers blatantly disrespect players, coaches, whatever. They try to go about their business the right way. They try to do it the right way. You know, people always bang on like, hey, why are you pro-organization? Why aren't you worried about the players or whatever? I love the players. I want the players to get as much as they can, but there's a right and a wrong way to go about things, and this is not the right way to go about it. It's the same way that I felt when Raheem Mostert had a good playoff run and then held the team up for money in the preseason. I was like, this is some bullshit. You signed that contract. You signed that 3-year deal coming off being cut by 8 teams. You had a fantastic playoff run, right? Then you hold the team up for money. They give you the money, then your ass is hurt for the next 2 years.
I'm out though. But all right, I'm going to shoot Raheem Mostert some bail because he didn't make a penny more than what he was going to make. The issue was that he had nothing guaranteed. So his contract value was the exact same amount, but they could have cut him and he would have got nothing. He just said, hey, my salary is my salary. I just want some guarantees in here because Raheem Mostert and Deebo, George Kittle, they all know that we're prone for injuries. So let me get some kind of guarantee. I just had a baby. The story was all out there on Front Street. So even when Mostert did it, I understand the outrage from the faithful and everything. Like I honestly, I understand it, but he didn't say, hey, if you guys are going to name me the starter, which they did at that time, if you're going to name me the starter, then I want to rework my deal because I'm explosive on this, I'm that. I want new money. He never asked for a new penny, not one penny more than what he already had. He was like, just give me some guarantees. Let's work some injury guarantees in here.
That's why I don't completely talk shit about him. That's fine.
Right.
My issue is it became a public thing where it's just like now it's out in the domain. And now, how many games did he play after that? 9?
I don't even know if he hit 9. I don't even know if he hit 9, bro. You might be being nice.
I think he hit like maybe 6.
Right.
In 2 years. Like he's like, hey, give me some guarantees. Now let me miss friggin' what is it? 30? I'll miss 30 out of the next 37.
It was so bad.
Sorry, so I want to talk about.
I've seen a lot of most hurt.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people try and compare Deebo Samuel's situation to people like Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, but they are all entering their second or third contract. If I understand.
By the way, none of those dudes said shit publicly.
No, all of these were handled privately. They all have multiple years at producing at a very high level. Yes, they all played with top level quarterbacks. That's fine, but still, Deebo Samuel has done it at this high of a level for 1 year. He has an injury history. However much you want to factor that into the equation, it's worth discussing at the very least that he has missed a handful of games every year. 10 games, 10 total in his 3 years.
He missed one last year.
Yeah. So the fact is that these are not comparable situations. You cannot compare Deebo Samuel to Stephon Diggs, to Devontae Adams, to Tyreek Hill. I guarantee you almost any team would rather take those 3 receivers over Deebo Samuel. The only thing he has going for him is his age. Go ahead.
You can't even compare him to George Kittle, who also missed a ton of games. And I'm going to tell you why. George Kittle had the best statistical season for any tight end in the NFL in history until Travis Kelce went and did it. But that was his catalyst for that contract. You understand what I'm saying? Deebo has never been the top wide receiver in the NFL. He's never been the top wide receiver for a single season in the NFL. That's 1,700 yards and 14 touchdowns. That's cool. But look up who had the best yards total for a wide receiver. It wasn't Deebo. There were receivers with more than 1,700. Cooper Kupp just had how many yards that same year? It was over 2,000, wasn't it?
Ridiculous amount. Yeah, over 2.
That's my point. Deebo, you can't come in here and say, hey, I want to be the highest paid non-quarterback when you've never been the best at what you do, including being a wide back. You've never been the top scrimmage yard performer of your position ever. So you don't even hold the weight to say that and come in here and make that request. But again, negotiations, I get that. He just got to chill, man.
I mean, yeah. Listen, my man Too Short said, get it. You know what I'm saying? You should be getting it. Get while the getting is good. And that's what Deebo's doing. You know what I mean? He's trying to do it. But this whole, I think, and honestly, I think one of the things that's a huge problem is that his brother got out of pocket and said some shit.
Yep.
And I think that Deebo wanted to keep it a little quieter than what was going on in terms of like an actual trade request value. Yep. Like he scrubbed his social media, that's for sure, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean anything. When the brother gets out there and is like, oh yeah, my brother asked for a trade, that's when a lot of the chirping and the speculation starts. And it's like,
So
maybe he didn't want that.
Why didn't he shoot that down? Why did Tom Pelissero tweet out, I talked to Deebo? Not his agent, not someone who knows Deebo. When someone with a check mark who has a history of reporting in the NFL names the person specifically, he didn't say a source. He said, I talked to Deebo, and he said X, Y, and Z. Deebo could have, if he didn't say that to Tom Pelissero and say, hey, my brother doesn't know what he's talking about, it's water under the bridge.
I still chalk it up to the dude being 25 years old. He's like, oh, well, cap's out of the bag. I might as well just say it now. Right? Like, whereas maybe a more seasoned person goes, oh, you know what? My brother is not authorized to be saying stuff like that. I don't know where that came from. This and this and that. Deebo's like, whoop, hand in the cookie jar. Might as well say it. You know, that I think there's a little bit of a lack of experience there in terms. Like, this is Deebo's really it's his first contract, right? Like, you can't necessarily expect somebody to go about it 100% the right way. You gotta give somebody a little bit of grace in terms of like their youth, right? For me, as someone who's my age, if I can't give grace to a young person knowing where I was at 25, like that's on me, right? You know, the curse of old age is knowing that youth makes mistakes. That's one of those things. Like, you want them to do better. You don't want them to make the mistakes that you did. But at 25, I was a moron. So I don't necessarily blame Deebo for not, going about this 100% the right way.
If Deebo changed agents right now, how different do you think the situation looks? Honestly.
A lot.
I don't know enough about the agent that he has, but I think that it's when it was tweeted out that there were 3 top-end wide receivers looking for contracts with the same agent, I didn't like that, specifically because the first person that blinks is going to look like an idiot when the other 2 sign for more money. It's a lose-lose, right, for any of those guys. And if it was me, I'd be like, look, I can't be competing against you 2 because I'm trying to play football. I'm trying to get mine. At the same time, I'm not trying to look bad and hold out for all this time, because if you're in the same place, like if Deebo is waiting for the highest paid non-quarterback position and he's competing with AJ Brown, good luck, because AJ Brown's better than you, bro. Sorry, it's true. And if you want to talk about quarterbacks, miss me with that, because it's not like Ryan Tannehill is that much better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
And what does that agent look like if Deebo gets more money than AJ Brown? Imagine how AJ Brown responds to that.
AJ Brown's like, wait, why'd you undercut me, bro?
Come on, man.
That's a good point.
This is this agent, unless he signs a deal that's the same for all 3 of these guys at the same time, he's gonna piss somebody off. It doesn't make any sense. So go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say Ace Pro has asked us a few times. I want to make sure we get to it before we miss it. Mike, we talked about this a little bit on Sunday, what we would envision for a Deebo Samuel trade. Matt, if the 49ers pull a trigger, what would you expect to see in return for Deebo Samuel?
I said it earlier in the chat. I think Deebo Samuel to Houston for number 13, a 2022 second-round pick, a 2023 third-round pick with the escalator clause going to a second if Davis Mills doesn't play enough and Jimmy Garoppolo has to take over. I think that's about right. People saying 2 first-round picks for Deebo Samuel. Listen, Kansas City didn't get that for Tyreek, so you're not going to get that. You're trying to get value for Deebo Samuel while at the same time you're trying to get cap relief from Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, if you can somehow slide Jimmy Garoppolo into a Deebo Samuel deal, I'm like, do that all day. Just get him out of here.
Yeah.
Because that's also a distraction the 49ers need. This has been one of the worst off seasons in 49ers history for these 2 issues alone. Yeah. And that's all of their own making in terms of, like, you're looking at, you can't trade Jimmy Garoppolo. You're holding on to him. Apparently, they value him more than anybody else in the league does, right? Like, in my opinion, once you get past his injury guarantee, cut his ass, because he's not guaranteed.
Can I? All right, I'm gonna call another timeout here. I don't think this is the worst offseason for the Niners. And
I said one of.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not the worst. No.
Okay.
One of.
But I agree.
Optically, too, not from a personnel standpoint.
Okay. But personnel is good. Actually, they got better. This team spent this offseason improving their worst phase of the game, which was special teams. So they boosted that dramatically.
I'm very happy about the Ray
fired the special
signing.
teams
We
coach.
haven't talked about that, but I'm very happy with that.
Hired a new guy. They went out and got 2 or 3 of the top guys.
Odom, nice too.
Teams. Right. But even with the handling of the Jimmy Garoppolo situation, once I took my emotions out of it, and if I have been anti-Jimmy for a very long time, right? But I think from the franchise's perspective, they handled that the right way. And what I mean by that is this. If you guys invest, do you guys buy stocks? Do you guys trade at all? Just a little bit? Okay. When's the right time to sell? When the stock is high, right? When it's low, you don't want to sell. It made no sense for this team to just release Jimmy Garoppolo when he's injured. It made no sense at all. I understand that it was only $7.5 million. You could have taken $17 million with you, right? I understand all of that, right? But Jimmy Garoppolo is, before preseason, going to become healthy. Injury guarantee off the books, right? Once he's healthy, that stock is immediately higher than what it was if you had released him prior to the injury. And so I get it. Emotions high.
No, that's what I'm saying too. Like you can't release him while he has that injury guarantee. It's not enough of an upside. What I'm saying is once he's not injured, if nobody's a taker still, you got to cut his ass because he can't be here next year with underneath Trey Lance. You can't have that underneath a young quarterback. It's not fair to Trey.
I completely agree. And so he's got another physical coming up soon. And once he's deemed healthy, then they can cut him. And that 7.5 that we were talking about losing or taking a hit on, even that's gone. So the Niners, unbeknownst to the faithful, are actually playing the Jimmy Garoppolo thing right way.
I get it. I'm saying from optically, it looks like, oh, the 49ers, the layman fan, and we all know how the fans can be sometimes, right? The layman fan's going to be like, fuck, they don't want to pay my man Deebo. He's so good, though, bro. Right? Like, oh, shit, they couldn't get nothing for Jimmy Garoppolo, and they're just going to keep him on the team. Fuck, I don't get that, bro. And, like, why don't they know why Jimmy Garoppolo needs a shoulder surgery? They seem so dumb, bro. It's one of those things where, like, optically, for the layman fan, the team doesn't look the best. Optically, this is a bad offseason for them. Honestly, for me too, you still don't even know if Alex Mack is coming back. Like, what the fuck are they doing for the draft? We don't know. Nobody knows. There's a bunch of holes. Yeah, you signed Charizard. We love Charizard. He's gonna be great, right? Like that's our nickname for Charvarius Ward. It's just like I love Charvarius Ward signing. I think that's a great signing or whatever. But like, you guys got to figure some stuff out, dude. Like, because the layman fan thinks Jimmy Garoppolo prevented the 49ers from signing people they wanted to sign. You can't argue with them about that because that's just what they think, right?
Right.
Like if you want the optics to look better, the 49ers are going to have to and they're always going to do what's better for the team or whatever. I'm just saying, like, optically, this has not been a great offseason for them.
Yeah, and even with the waiting out of the Jimmy Garoppolo situation, right? You have to. Sorry, I was watching NFL Network. I thought something new about Deebo was coming up. They showed something over here. Damn, I forgot what I was going to say. The Deebo thing. No. I was going to say something about the Jimmy thing. You're right. To the layman fan, right? Like they don't get it. They're going to sit there and say, but that's why you can't interact with everybody all the time. You got to separate yourself from what they see.
I don't interact with anybody on Twitter because I just can't do it.
He doesn't even talk to me. He doesn't even talk to me.
I'm like, golly, like y'all. But I get it. In a football term, in terms of the locker room, when you come to training camp, if Jimmy Garoppolo is healthy, you got to get him out of town because Trey does not need to look over his shoulder at Jimmy Garoppolo. Like that does not need to happen. Trey needs the room to spread his wings. Like that is what it is. And for all the people, and I hate to do this because people, it's always a sore subject, but all the people who are like, now would be the time to bring back Colin Kaepernick because he's like a fit with Trey Lance. No. Besides the fact that Colin Kaepernick is polarizing, the second that Trey Lance throws an interception, what do you think is going to happen? Yeah. They're going to be like, put Kaepernick in. He led us to a Super Bowl. Trey Lance sucks, blah, blah, blah. No, you need to give this kid time. He's going to make his mistakes. He's going to make some awesome plays. Growth is the goal. Steady progression. That's all you want. And you can't do that with Jimmy Garoppolo or a Colin Kaepernick or whoever. It's why they signed Nate Sudfeld to a $2 million guaranteed deal. Because Nate Sudfeld, no one's going to be the first time Trey Lance throws an interception. They're not going to be like, well, put Nate Sudfeld in. He's better. You don't have to worry about that. They're going to be like, dang kid, maybe you'll get the next one. You know what I mean? Like there are levels to this game, and 49ers Twitter is like the prologue, right? I hate to say it, but a lot of y'all need to sit back, stroke your chin a little bit, read your tweet 4 or 5, 6, 7, 12 times before you hit send, because a lot of y'all tweet out some dumb shit. And I hate to say it because I love y'all, but
like the tweet going around today, saying that Deebo has all the leverage.
That was wild. That was wild.
Yeah. No, I responded to that tweet and I never got a response because dude who tweeted that out has no response for it because it's.
Oh, he responded to me because my tweet did numbers, and he was like, my definition of leverage is a person doing everything they can to benefit themselves at the end.
Yeah, so I responded to that tweet, and I was like, listen, a person can have as many resources as they have. That doesn't matter because 1, the team has more. 2, he's under contract.
Yeah.
Right? 3, if he holds out, he's a restricted free agent in 2022 because of the new CBA. Day 1, if you hold out, there's a clause that automatically kicks you into restricted free agent territory. Next, if they want to tank you, if they want to be petty, they'll hold you under contract. They will either use you if you want to play, but to a lesser extent. When you come up for your contract, they'll franchise tag you, and then they'll still tank your value. And then when you hit the open market at 27 and a half, 28 years old, you don't have as much leverage because guess what? You're not hitting that 1,400 yard season again.
Yep.
So
and now
let me hop in here real quick.
Instead of getting the $20 million contract that is allegedly not good enough for you, you're going to get a $16 million contract from the Jaguars,
kind of improve it deal,
who won't be able to use you for shit. And what are you left with?
Right.
So Matt, you talked about earlier about his brother's comments. I think it was you, Matt. But basically, if you guys missed this, his brother was talking, I believe, on Facebook or something like that. He replied to somebody who said trade him, and he said, "Don't worry, we're asking for a trade." And then not only that, he said he won't be a 49er. That's all that matters. Shout out to Brad Graham from SF9er. She's the one who kind of compiled this, which is just kind of ridiculous.
I would call my brother and be like, "Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth. You don't know nothing."
And then you said it earlier that his brother, I think it was you or Mike, his brother kind of spilled the beans. And that's, again, Brad Graham. He said he was told by somebody in Deebo Samuel's camp that his brother did spill the beans. And maybe that's why this whole report got out there. And Jeff Darlington had to contact Deebo directly to confirm or deny the report, in which he did. Maybe the 49ers, like Jeff Darlington said, were aware for the past week or so that Deebo Samuel did want a trade. They were trying to handle this behind closed doors, but because Deebo's brother put this out there, it now is public.
I'm telling you, Deebo Samuel and Jimmy Garoppolo to Houston for 13, a second-round pick, 2023 that can turn into a 2022. You trade back. You draft Tyler Linderbaum to solve your Alex Mack problem. You draft Christian Watson, not Watkins, Watson, as Mike corrected me on. And then you go from there. That works for me.
And the Niners even went out and got a little bit of security. They knew what they were doing with the Alex Mack situation when they tendered Daniel Brunskill. This guy can fill in. He can fill in as a corner, corner center, if his number is called. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. You know.
So here's the kind of picture that SF9 has put together. Hey, there is his brother, Tyquan Samuel. You know, don't worry, we're asking for a trade. He won't be a 49. That's all that matters. Wild stuff.
It seems like Deebo brother is a slightly less annoying version of Patrick Mahomes' brother.
Yeah, well, I mean,
he's not on video with this shit.
He's not dancing with this shit. Yeah, exactly, and horrible dancing too, by the way. Like, yeah, I can tolerate this a little bit more. You know, but at some point, Deebo's got to say, like, look, that's my family. They're out there. They have my best interest, our best interest. So they're just trying to negotiate on my behalf. Like, but they don't have any control over this. It's between.
Yeah, you don't have to throw them under the bus.
Yeah.
But if Deebo wants $25 million a year, listen, this is a fan base that looked at Jimmy Garoppolo last year and was like, 27, too much for a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're talking about wide receiver. What happens, and I've talked about this because I've had problems with the way that Deebo Samuel conditions himself. What happens if he pulls a hammy and misses 6 games? Then what's that look like? Right?
Yeah.
You turn that into, and it's not like Deebo Samuel's injuries have not been like, what was it? Was it Ayuk in his rookie year that missed time because he broke his arm or whatever? Or was it Ward? It was like Jimmy Ward or somebody like that. It's not a broken bone, right? Like this, you pulled your hamstring because you came back because you're eating McDonald's and shit, right? Like, no, like, I mean, and you're young. I get it. Like, that's the way that it goes with young guys.
So
But
then
like,
his brother
the soft
came out.
tissue injuries are, it can be an issue if you're not staying on top of it. And he looks like he's doing it now, but who's to say if that continues?
So Deebo's brother came out. Appreciate you sending this, Mike. Basically saying, y'all take shit and run with it. I don't know anything about what's going on with my brother. Come on, man. Come on. Man, maybe that is the case, but then
he must be teaching a cycling class because that's a nice little spin he did.
That was 100% the cleanup.
Yeah.
100% the cleanup. Deebo was like, yo, bro, what are you doing? I didn't tell no, like this wasn't public yet. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what this was. This was 100% the cleanup right here.
And then 12
That's
hours
like
later,
when you tell that joke, right, to in front of a girl and she gets hella offended because it's like a sexist joke, and you were like, "It was just a joke. That's not how I really feel.
Yeah.
I'm just playing."
Till it's his Taekwondo trying to split the contract.
Right. Now we have the situation here where we're trying to figure out what exactly the Niners can get for Deebo. But is Deebo really on the trade block? It's one thing to request a trade. A team doesn't have to honor it. Like, do you guys think the Niners are looking to trade him right now?
No.
I mean, if it's up to Matt Mayoko, nobody's safe on the 49ers. Nobody's safe. Hashtag quote from July 2021.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think if the right value came up, and I think that there's been some speculation that Houston is looking for a wide receiver at 13. Listen, if you can spend Deebo, who was a second-round pick, into a 13 overall pick, and you go from there, maybe that's something. But I don't think you're actively shopping him. You have to get what you want for Deebo, right? Like, it has to be a good offer. You're not just going to give him away for peanuts. You're not going to give him away because somebody's like, well, Deebo wants out, so we can lowball you. That's not the way that it's going to go. You're going to get multiple picks for Deebo Samuel. You might not get what Tyreek Hill got, but you're going to get something.
13 is what we got for Buckner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Seems to be the
I know it's a
number.
bad luck pick, dog.
Let me answer your question, Mike. I don't think they will. I don't think they're actively trying. Josina Anderson tweeted out earlier today. Meanwhile, my understanding is there's currently
King's ransom is what she said.
Yeah, there's feeling currently within the Jets organization that wide receiver Deebo Samuel won't be moved at all unless San Francisco gets a king's ransom per league sources. I don't think the 49ers will trade him unless they get something that's just so ridiculous they'd be dumb to turn it down. Maybe they're listening. Maybe they're seeing what other people are willing to offer, but I don't think that they're actively...
tale as old as time. Dude, it's fucking April. Who gives a shit about April? They're going to go about their draft. They're going to go about their offseason workouts. Training camp's going to hit. Deebo Samuel is going to be like, I'm not coming. I'm not doing nothing. Preseason games are going to hit, and all of a sudden what's playing in his head is all by myself. And he's not getting any fucking game checks, and he's like, dang, man, I should actually play some football so I can get some money. And I should negotiate a contract in good faith rather than like trying to do all this other stuff. Rather than, I don't know, talking to Parag and John about what I actually fucking want.
Right. Well, there's two things to that. April, yes, that's true, right? It's super early. But on the flip side, it's before the draft. So if there is going to be a time to make a move for the 49ers, now's the time. Because if this happened 2 months ago or right after our playoff loss, then the Niners are kind of like, all right, 2 weeks have gone by and we're not getting many calls. That takes his trade value and drops it and diminishes it quickly. Right now, the other 31 teams are like, yo, we got a week to see if we can put together a package for Deebo. That's in favor of the Niners. You know what I'm saying? But the other thing is, if he does decide to hold out, not only does the CBA say he goes to that restricted free agent thing, he reverts back to the same year of his contract. You don't get credit for your 4th year. You will come back as a 3rd year or going into your 4th year player, and the Niners have your rights for that year and can still tag you and so on and so forth. He's doing himself no favors here. He's doing none at all.
Right. And it'll be telling if a trade is going to happen, it'll happen before the draft. If the 49ers do not trade him before the draft, they're not trading him at all.
Mike, a little off topic, but 49er minded wants to know what flavor hookah you got.
Okay. So tonight is a combination. I have this orange mint, which is incredible. And then I have this tropical, it's coconut and pineapple. So it's a very citrusy mint flavor that I got going here.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right,
420
guys.
to everybody out there, by the way.
We're going to be wrapping this up within the next 10, 15 minutes or so, probably. My question for both of you, we'll start with Mike. Is there someone in this draft that you feel would even come close to being able to replace Deebo Samuel's production? Maybe not right away, because that's asking a lot of a rookie, but in a year or two's time, is there somebody you would feel comfortable saying, okay, we could part with Deebo because we can get X?
So it's funny you asked that. Mike Garoppolo actually tweeted someone out today. And this guy, I'm not saying he's Deebo, but this guy is all right. His name is he's from Tennessee, Velus Jones Jr. All right. And I'm gonna read the tweet to you guys here. It says 49ers just wrapped up a pre-draft visit with Tennessee wide receiver Velus Jones Jr., versatile player as a returner, receiver who moves well with the football in his hands. And then this is sarcasm at the end. If only the Niners had a need for somebody like that. This is the team saying, hey, we got all the chips on our side. This is big bank takes little bank. This is negotiating 101. Like, they are owning Deebo in every sense of it. They're releasing who they've worked at. This isn't the only workout that the Niners have had. You know what I mean? This isn't the only meeting they've had with these draft prospects. It's not a coincidence that this story comes out today. This guy is somebody. And by the way, they already have other players on the roster that can get the ball out of the backfield, get the ball downfield. This is just this is fool's gold right here. This is Deebo is making a fool of himself in the red and gold. Like, it's just bad. So there are options out there. So
agreed. And you don't need to hit up the top end wide receivers, because a lot of this and what a lot of people aren't talking about is how much is Deebo propped up by Kyle Shanahan's system, where he's working him in open space, right? If you trade him to, let's just say, you know what? He likes Robert Saleh. He wants to go to the Jets. Is Robert Saleh and the Jets going to work him open with, their quarterback to the same extent? Is he going to have the same success? Or is the fact that Kyle Shanahan is so good at working people open when he schemes for Deebo, he's scheming to get Deebo open. And he's so good at what he does that Deebo will be open. I mean, we've seen it before. I mean, on that touchdown that Trey Lance threw him, why was Deebo Samuel not within 5 yards of any other player on the field? Is that Deebo because he's so good at separating? Or is a lot of that Kyle Shanahan because he was like, we're going to do this, they're going to react to that, and then Deebo, you're going to be open, right? I mean, that was a layup throw, and people like to criticize Trey. Oh, he underthrew that. I mean, when it's not wide open, who gives a shit?
He had to throw it there so that way he could cut back. If he had hit it in stride, he would have run right into the safety. Yeah, it was a great throw. It was a perfect throw, right? Yeah. But you reminded me of something that I wanted to say when Zach was talking about the Josina Anderson tweet. That tweet was more important than what people think. She went to the Jets. She didn't say who in the Jets organization, but Robert Saleh is there. And you can bet anything you want that Robert Saleh called Kyle. Is Deebo really on the market? This was not a GM to a GM call. This was a friend-to-friend phone call. Yep. Is this guy really here? You know what we were willing to give up for Tyreek Hill. They didn't accept our trade. They went with Miami instead. This was a friend-to-friend phone call that said, hey, is this true? And Kyle said, hey, bro, if it's not a king's ransom, it's not happening. I'm sorry. Right. No disrespect, but Too important, too integral to our success. We want him here.
People forget Kyle really likes Deebo. He coached him at the Senior Bowl. Kyle loves Deebo. He's not getting rid of him for nothing. Like, it's not happening. It's not happening. So this is still a little bit of much to do about nothing. But the reason we're doing this tonight is because we have sourcing that says that Deebo has said some of these things from Deebo Samuel himself. So we have to address it. But at the same time, it's one of those situations where if they're not going to get, again, like Josina Anderson said, a king's ransom, it's much to do about nothing because the 49ers are going to pay Deebo if he's still there. Deebo's going to play for the 49ers because he can't hold out. He's not going to hold out all year. That never happens, right? I think Carson Palmer is the only person I can think about that was like, I'm not coming, and then didn't come.
Recently, you have the running back from the Steelers. What was his name?
James Conner?
No. Oh, shit.
Le'Veon Bell.
Yes, Le'Veon Bell. He
yeah,
held out
and then he was trash afterwards.
Yes, it went to the Jets. The Jets again, and did nothing. Yeah, so that's the last time I can think of someone holding out an entire season. Did not work in his favor.
I don't think it's a great idea. I don't think he'll do it. And again, to me, this kind of feels like it was a bit of a negotiating tactic. His brother leaked it, and now it turned into a whole bigger thing than Deebo ever anticipated it being. And maybe his tweet was damage control. I don't know. I really don't know how to interpret that tweet because, like Mike said,
I'll be right back,
you're good. Referring to himself in third person, the whole situation's weird, but I don't think he wants to be traded. I mean, how many times have we seen, or not how many times, how many of these draft experts or NFL experts have we seen come out and say, well, his best fit is right there in San Francisco. Why is he going to ask to go somewhere else to not be utilized as much as he's utilized here? Not only that, if he goes to New York, if he goes to the Jets, they're not winning more than 6 games for the next couple of years. Do you really want to compete, or is it that much about the money?
And by the way, if it's about the money, go get the money. That's fine. But say that to the Niners. I literally only want to go to the highest bidder. That's fine. That's fine. Just make your stance clear. Don't waste the team's time. You know what I'm saying? Don't play with the emotions of the fans and all that stuff. He soured the fans. But Zach, I wanted to throw something back to you. You asked us if there was a prospect that we thought maybe, could take his role. Was there someone that you had in mind? I wanted to ask Matt too, but he stepped away really quick. Was there someone that you had in mind that maybe could be a Deebo Samuel type player, or maybe a better fit for the system that we are anticipating coming?
So I wouldn't say he's a Deebo Samuel type specifically, maybe, but they attended Drake London's pro day. He's a top prospect in the draft, arguably one of the top receivers prospect in the draft. The 49ers were there. This was back on April 15th. There's a reason they went there. I mean, they're not going to one of the top receivers pro day if you don't have at least some sort of belief that you might have to draft somebody at that position. I'm cool with London. I'm cool with Watson. I saw Steve commented earlier, Chris Olave would be a hell of an addition as well. Any of these 3 guys, I wouldn't say make it okay, but it would ease the blow to me of losing a guy like Deebo Samuel.
And there's a comment down there that says Deebo won't lose his yak ability. And I question that. I really do. They had yak bros before Deebo was ever producing, right? How much of that is actually Kyle's system? Getting these guys the ball in space. How much of that is on Kyle? We haven't seen these guys leave and go and produce anywhere else because they all stay in-house. But, I mean, we're getting to the point where it's that time now where guys are going to start going. Kendrick Bourne, was he as good? I know he was New England's number 1 receiver, but what were the numbers? What were the targets compared to, the efficacy? How efficient was he compared to how efficient he was here in San Francisco? You know what I mean? Like, these are things that we're at the timeline now where players from here are going to start to go. I can tell you this, Trent Taylor wasn't the 49ers version of Trent Taylor over with Cincinnati. You know what I'm saying? He was He was not the third down guy that everyone said we can't let go of, right? We got to start giving some credit to the guy that Jed York said is the best offensive mind in the league. We got to start giving this guy some credit. And
isn't it funny that Jimmy Garoppolo gets that pass too? Like, for as average as Jimmy Garoppolo is, Kyle throws him layups with that scheme, and he's still throwing an interception per game. He still has that Jimmy throw where we're like, what the fuck are you doing? Right? I totally agree with you, because when people say he'll still have that yak ability, I mean, when Deebo's running right and all the other receivers are running left and there's nobody in the way anymore because Kyle schemed it that way, how many other teams can do that? Not many. And that's what's going to happen. And I think it's a situation where, how many times did people come from, specifically on defense, from New England's defense? I can think of a few that were, Larry Brown, wasn't he like a Super Bowl MVP with the Patriots? And then he went to Oakland and didn't do shit. Right? Like, how many people leave the Patriots on the defense and then don't have as good a season because they were propped up by the scheme? Same thing with Kyle. You can't have it both ways, right? Either Kyle is a genius, right? Or he's not. And to say that Jimmy Garoppolo is a great quarterback, we should keep him. Okay, he's got all these numbers. I mean, his numbers are okay, but if Kyle is the genius that you say he is, that means Jimmy Garoppolo is inherently a worse quarterback than his numbers would state because Kyle props him up. Conversely, if you think Kyle's an idiot, then maybe Jimmy Garoppolo is better than what, but nobody thinks that, right? Like, how long is Kyle's coaching tree now? How long is that Shanahan coaching tree at this point? Right. Well, I agree with you 100%.
I say it all the time. No matter where Kyle has been, he's done it with people. Matt Schaub, while he was in Houston, right? Look at what he did in Cleveland, right? He had Josh Gordon had a phenomenal year with him. Look at what he did when he was in Washington. RG3 and Kirk Cousins looked great. Pierre Garçon had his best year. That was with Kyle Shanahan there calling the shots. Look at what he did in Atlanta.
Back to Pierre Garçon.
Yeah, I'm just saying, look at what he did in Atlanta, right? Matt Ryan had his only MVP year. He's never even been mentioned as a candidate since Kyle Shanahan has been gone, right? George Kittle 1 year, best tight end in the game. Deebo Samuel, look what he's doing. Raheem Mostert. I had Philly fans calling me saying, I can't believe we had this guy on our roster and we let him go. Kyle Shanahan takes different players every single year and makes them a star. He makes them a household name. It's time to put some respect on that guy's name and what he does for the players, not what the players do for him. Deebo, you're the next name on the list.
Exactly. If Deebo Samuel's not careful, he's going to be the next Tevin Coleman / whoever the other guy was, who I can't even remember anymore.
Marvin. What was the dude's name that he was with Seattle?
Freeman.
No. God damn it, Percy Harvin. Percy Harvin. He's going to be the next one in. Like,
exactly.
It's
and listen. I think that the team does get a little worse if Deebo Samuel leaves. I'm not saying like Deebo is just like kick his ass out the door, right? My thing is like, I don't need a malcontent on this team. If you don't want to be here, then you can leave. That's the way it is.
Somebody asked in here, and we can touch on this, and then we'll start to wrap up. TA Rug, do you think 10 would be enough from the Jets? They also have 4, 35, 38 in the first 2 rounds.
I think you should get more. Yeah. I think so. Because even if they got 10, they're not keeping 10. They're not going to draft somebody at 10. They're going to trade back. Do you think they've even done due diligence on the top 10 picks in the draft? Fuck no. They didn't expect to pick there. They're not even worried about it, right? They know some guys that they want. Again, this is what I said earlier, okay? Draft Tyler Linderbaum. You need a center. He's the best one in the draft. I don't give a shit about his short arms. Let him get in there. He mauls people. Listen, if you got a chance to draft an offensive lineman from Wisconsin or Iowa or what, those two specifically come to mind. You draft those dudes, right? Because those dudes are hard-nosed dudes because those teams just run the fucking football all day long. Those are the guys that you want to get out there. And then if you can trade back and turn that pick into another second or a third, Maybe you draft a wide receiver to help mitigate the loss of Deebo Samuel. And then after that, it's okay. Now we draft a guard because we lost Laken Tomlinson, and we don't want to just like we don't want to just depend on Aaron Banks to all of a sudden get quicker feet and get out there, right? You maximize the potential to throw something against the wall and see what sticks. And I think that's the way that you have to go. But in terms of Deebo Samuel, I don't care where he goes. Just throw Jimmy Garoppolo in with that shit.
Mike, what about you? Is 10 enough?
No, 10's not going to be enough. And the comment that you were just on for TC, he says 10, 35, and 38 done deal. And initially you want to say like that's too much. That's 3 picks in a row for them. But that leaves them with number 4, and they could trade back from that position and acquire more. I'm talking about they as in, the Jets. Yeah.
Is that's the Jets?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the Jets.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They have a lot.
That's a Jets move.
That's 4 picks inside the top 50. That's a lot. Now, if you're willing to give up 2, 3 of those in TC's case, you can still trade back from one of those and still acquire more. That might be something that they're willing to do. And again, you have to look at the haul that Tyreek Hill got. It wasn't multiple first, but it was 4 or 5 picks or something crazy like that, right? 10 in short is not enough, though. Not for Deebo, not this year, not coming off the season he had. Deebo's stock for the rest of the NFL is at an all-time high. You don't let it go for just 1 pick.
Facts. Sonia Wilson asked us earlier.
Sorry, real quick. I just want to answer Mike's question. So Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins, it was for a 2022 first-round pick, which was 29 overall, which is a late first. 2022 second-round pick, number 50. 2022 4th-round pick, a 2023 4th-round pick, and a 2023 6th-round pick. And honestly, Tyreek is like head and shoulders above better than Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
So that's why I think just throw Jimmy Garoppolo in there as maybe, hey, Zach Wilson. Who knows if he'll
just take the salary.
Zach needs a vet.
You can offer us the same exact package. Just take the salary. We're okay with that. You know what I mean? Like that's.
I said that earlier in chat. I was like, Jimmy doesn't have any real inherent value on the field. Right. This is just a salary dump move.
The salary dump, which is why a team like Houston might be the actual target.
That's why I think 13. And Houston again is rumored to actually be shopping 13 for a wide receiver.
Right.
So if you can package Jimmy in with that, because listen, as kind of nice as Davis Mills played last year, you don't know, right? You don't know. They got a lot of value. They just got 3 first-round picks from the Cleveland Browns for Deshaun Watson. They're not hurting for picks. So this is one, if Houston is a team that's kind of ripe for a slight overpay for those things because they have the resource and they're like, well, I mean, if something happens with Davis, at least, Jimmy's kind of there, but like Deebo is so good. Remember him last year? He was so good. Remember when he caught that touchdown on us? He's so good. Let's pay a little extra for him. So it could work out to the 49ers' favor. They just have to play it the right way.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Go ahead, Zach. You were saying something. I'm sorry.
No. You're good. I wanted to ask you the question on the screen, and we'll go Matt after. Would you trade Deebo for Amari Cooper and Kareem Hunt? Would that be enough?
I mean, oh, man. Just straight up, huh?
Straight up.
I'm going to say yeah. Wait. What's Amari? I got to look up Amari Cooper's contract. Hold on. Let me look that up really quick.
$20 million a year.
Oh, shit.
Nope. It's a no from me.
What's Kareem Hunt getting?
I think Kareem Hunt is getting like 8.
God, man. I mean, you want to move this guy in hopes of getting some cap relief.
Listen, my thing is Kareem Hunt is like an add-on. That's like a nothing thing because the 49ers will turn chicken shit into chicken salad in terms of running backs. Like, I'm not worried about that. They'll make whoever good enough, right? You're talking about Amari Cooper for Deebo Samuel swap. Dude, Amari Cooper doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, but he's a really good receiver. Like route running.
$20 million.
I agree. The contract is what's giving me
the contract is the issue for me.
The contract is what made me hesitate because player for players, that's a good trade.
Right.
You're improving,
but the contract is not
right. That's what hurts. Yeah, that's what hurts. So, Yeah, I might have to pass on it because of the contracts, unfortunately.
I'd pass too. I mean, they're both older players. Amari's got that injury history
I mean,
worse
they're both
than
like
Deebo.
26, exactly like they're older
I'll say
players.
this, though. I wouldn't do it, but I will say this. If you take Deebo off this team and put those two players here, we're Super Bowl bound.
Yeah, the team is way
True.
better with those two players for sure.
It's not Super Bowl bound for the next 4 years, but it's Super Bowl bound this year. I will say that.
Yeah. I mean, Steve said Cooper is paid less than Kirk. Yeah, that's because Jacksonville is full of idiots.
No, that's not true. Kirk's contract is only for
It's
4
4
years,
for
72.
72. Yeah, that's not even true.
Yeah, no. Like, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like 72. No.
472 is like that's 17.
5.5. That's 5 point. I mean, 15 point. Would know.
It's 17.5, I think.
Yeah, 17.5 a year. Sorry.
Yeah, that's less than Amari.
T.A. Rugg said, as a Jets fan, I'm very surprised you feel Tyreek is that much better than Deebo. I respectfully disagree. I think they're very different, but statistically, Deebo is better.
So
that's fucking false.
No. Well, wait, hold on now.
Maybe this past season, but over the long term, that's false.
But they have a pretty bad quarterback there. I don't think Wilson's who they thought he was. So Deebo improves the numbers of a bad quarterback. We've seen it. We've literally seen it. So I think I understand why a Jets fan might feel that.
My argument is, though, would Deebo be that much better under Patrick Mahomes? Because he did get targeted a lot. Yeah. It's not like he didn't get targeted. He had 77 catches. It's not like he wasn't a huge part of the game plan. What is your ceiling, right? You didn't produce for long enough. You have 3 years, only one over 1,000. How many years does Tyreek have? And how many years over 1,000? And how many times have we seen Tyreek Hill put up the deuces to somebody because he just straight outran his ass?
But you said 72 catches. That's for Deebo?
77.
For who?
Deebo.
How many of those came within 10 yards? That's my point.
Shitload.
Yeah, but would you agree with me that that's where Deebo works within? Deebo's going to catch it within 10 yards on the line of scrimmage. He's not a guy that's going to catch it 20 yards downfield.
10 yards to -5 yards is Deebo's area.
Right.
And
but
what I'm saying is those numbers improve a bad quarterback's numbers because he's not required to go downfield as much.
Okay, so Deebo Samuel in the 3 years that he's been with the Niners, right? 3 years, has 10 touchdowns receiving. In that same span, Tyreek Hill has 31 receiving touchdowns.
God,
fuck out of here.
Because Tyreek likes to go downhill. So Deebo to the Chiefs wouldn't make any sense.
No,
to the Jets with Jets
listen,
Wilson.
Tyreek is a yak guy too, though.
Zach Wilson.
It's not just like Tyreek just like catches bombs. Like he's not like a fly route only guy. Like Tyreek catches stuff and goes.
It's his speed though.
He houses shit.
Yeah, absolutely. No, 100%.
Yeah.
For me, here's how I put it, right? Like if you straight up swapped Deebo for Tyreek, would Deebo make the Chiefs that much better? No. But would Tyreek make the 49ers better? Yes.
Wait, not with Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's the point I'm driving home. The quarterback makes a difference in that situation.
Yeah. If all things being equal, though, who do you think is the more talented wide receiver?
Wide receiver, it's definitely Hill.
It's definitely Hill. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so this is a good point
forest
here.
For the trees, in a vacuum, who's the better wide receiver? Tyreek Hill.
So T.A. Rugg says, if Deebo's not as good as Tyreek, in your opinion, why would the Jets offer more than 35, 38, and 69, which is what they offered KC and what they offered and what KC was willing to accept for him?
Desperation.
No.
You think they pay a premium?
It's
honestly familiarity with Robert Saleh.
with LaFleur's over there, right?
And LaFleur. Yep.
Yeah. So it's system familiarity, but it's also again to cover up the flaws in your young quarterback, to give your quarterback more confidence.
It's like what I said, right? Bad quarterback dream.
Bingo. Exactly. Yeah, that's what you started the show with. Exactly. And
we got a super chat.
Why I think they would give up a little bit more there.
We got a super chat from my guy Sean. Package him with Jimmy. They can be on IR together. Probably why they are close. Maybe we could trade him to Divas in San Francisco. He likes to dance.
Come on, man.
Savage.
It's hard to disagree, man. Sean, I love it, man. Keep it coming. I love it.
All right, guys. We're going to be wrapping things up.
Carolina trades McCaffrey for Deebo and Jimmy. Get out of here. I don't want McCaffrey.
Wait, I will say this. I've talked to a couple of Panthers fans. They are really high on Jimmy. I'm not saying anything is coming down the pike. I'm not saying it's not. But
if we can get a 1 at McCaffrey for Deebo and Jimmy, I would take that, but not a 2.
I wouldn't touch McCaffrey.
I would trade.
He's so injury. He's like injury prone now.
Yeah, I would trade Deebo and Jimmy for Brian Burns in a second in a heartbeat.
Brian Burns, yes.
Yeah,
because then he could stick his ass opposite of Nick Bosa, and you guys got like the best pass rush in the league.
Yep, that's the dream trade. If we're talking to Carolina, send Jimmy and Deebo, send Brian Burns in a second. I sent a first earlier on Twitter.
Give me McCaffrey. Give me
and
Brian
there was a Panthers player that was like, "Why would we give you an all pro and a first?" I'm like, "Yeah, you got a point. Okay, give me a second. Take Deebo and Jimmy."
Sonia Wilson said, "Porno Jimmy G." No, it's Hooters Jimmy G now.
Hooters Jimmy G. Yeah,
I want some crab legs from Hooters, man. Just to say, like for Panthers fans out, they're not moving Christian McCaffrey. His cap hit this year is 8.7. His dead cap is 26.9.
That's a lot.
They're not moving. They're going to lose
Brian Burns all day, though.
Yeah, they're going to lose almost 20 million just moving him. They're not going to do that. So Christian is stuck there.
Hey, this might be slanderous, but if I get as much as a 4th round pick for
Jimmy
Deebo and Jimmy Garoppolo and Brian Burns, give me Brian Burns all day.
Just the 4th, those 2 guys, and
Brian Burns,
secondary pass rusher to go with Nick Bosa. Give me that all day. But Brian Burns in a 4th for Jimmy and Deebo. I don't even give a shit. Give me that.
Wow.
Thank you, by the way. T.A. Ruck, he said, "You guys are great. New sub here, even though I'm a Jets fan. Have a great night." I love when fans sub of different teams.
Love it.
Thank you.
By the way, Zach, should we hit on the fact that we finally hit 2,000 subscribers?
Finally. It only about 400 videos in, we have hit 2,000 subs. So
I feel like we've been talking about this forever.
It's the freaking broken record. Friday, we will be announcing the winner of a 49ers jersey. I put up the poll on our Twitter. I think it's still active if you want to go vote. Who would you rather win, an autographed jersey or one you can wear? And it's like resoundingly an autographed jersey. So the winner will likely get that.
Brother.
Yeah, probably. It's a good point. Whoever wins will get to choose. We'll have to have like a comment because you can't really select through your list of subscribers on YouTube. So comment or something, and we'll be able to pick somebody out of the comments in our like one of the videos. We'll do this video. I'll tweet it out. People
pick a number between 1 and 2,000. I'm just kidding.
That's crazy. Yeah. Comment on this video. Not a live chat. Wait for the video to end. Come back and drop a comment with your name, and then we will be able to get in touch with you. It's a little difficult on YouTube, but we've done it before. We've done it like 8 or 9 times. We'll do it again. Winner will get to pick between an autographed jersey or one you can wear. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for helping us get to 2K.
Dylan got the comment. That's why I got the Bosa jersey from you guys, not Deebo. You got that jersey because I got drunk and got out of pocket. Made you a bet, bruh.
Oh, hey, just be careful with the giveaways on YouTube, man. I did one, and people just make fake emails and say, "I'm this person." And unfortunately, with YouTube, you don't have a way of proving it. So I sent out 3 things to one person because they kept saying, "Oh, I'm the real one. I'm the real one." I sent out 3 of whatever. I think it was like a $75 gift card for Amazon or something like that. But
damn.
Yeah, they got me. They got
me. Well, shit,
good.
You just gave everyone the idea, Mike. I'm just
all right.
Shit, I'm sorry. Edit this one out. You got. I'm
gonna need a picture of your ID in order to claim the prize. How about that?
There you go.
We'll do some verification on who you are.
Yeah,
there you go.
And if you're one of our regulars, and we've had a couple, like Dylan is in here all the time. I know Melissa was one. I know we had like a couple that we know who these people are. So that's fine.
Yeah. No,
but if you're just some scrub.
Jersey is it? Acebro brings up a good point, though. Burns is in his last year, too. So Burns and Bosa would both be, needing these contracts.
Well, Burns ain't making $30 million like
no.
Bosa.
Fuck no. He ain't that good. Like I said, secondary pass rusher.
Yeah, he'll come in around 18 to 22.
18 to 22. Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, guys.
Both are going to make 30, though, for sure.
For sure. I think that's going to do it for this show. Bit of an emergency podcast. Deebo Samuel requesting a trade. Everything was crazy today, but thank you. And huge thank you to Mike for joining, as always. We love having you on. I'm glad we could finally get both of you guys on again. I think we'd only been able to do it once before.
It's a lot of fun.
So thank you, everybody. Hit like, hit subscribe. Like I said, wait for the stream to end and then drop a comment on the actual video with your handle so we can pick a winner come Friday of a 49ers jersey.
Absolutely. Before I take us out, Mike, tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, guys, if you don't know, so this is my Twitter handle. Oh, it was there.
Oh, there you go.
This is my Twitter handle right here, 49ers Mike _NFL. If you guys want to give me a personal follow on Twitter. I'm not on there as often as I'd like. I probably spend a total of an hour and a half a day on my actual Twitter. But if you guys want to look up Nothing But Niners, hashtag NB9ERS, and wherever you find us, I am there. Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube. That's where you guys will find me. So if you guys are not subscribed, head on over to youtube.com/NothingButNiners and give us a subscribe. All right. Subscribe, thumbs up, all that good stuff. And I would love to have you guys there as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike. Dude, it was really cool to have you on here with me. I know we kind of missed each other the last couple times. I always appreciate you. Much love for you. As far as everybody else, listen, we're going to try to come back to you at some point this weekend, I think, for another show. And then beyond that, guess what next week is? Draft season, baby.
And if Deebo does get traded, we might have to all do individual shows.
Yeah.
Because we might be in the first round again. Like, let's go.
We might. I feel like we're going to do another draft show regardless anyway. So who knows what the 49ers are going to do? Shoot, I will do a draft show, whatever. I don't even care. I'll watch the draft with you guys. I plan on being live at least for probably the first 2 days. So that's a big commitment for me, but that's all right. It'll happen. But thank you guys so much for joining us. Follow us at all our handles down below. We appreciate you as always. Thank you for joining us for this emergency podcast. Maybe much ado about nothing. Just keep your fingers crossed. The 49ers will be fine either way. So with that being said, until next time, everyone, go Niners.